As I tucked my son into bed, he whispered, "Mommy, he's under the bed again." I smiled until I saw his face fill with terror. No, not the monster. The other boy who looks like me. My blood ran cold when a voice from under the bed said, "Mom, he's lying." I never thought I'd be one of those people posting on Reddit about something creepy that happened to them. But here I am, unable to sleep, typing this out in the middle of the night because I don't know what else to do. We live in a small town in Oregon, nestled between the mountains and the forest. It's quiet here, peaceful even. My husband and I moved here a few years ago to raise our son, hoping the fresh air and slower pace would be good for him. For the most part, it has been. Our son, Liam, is 6 years old. He's a sweet boy, full of energy and curiosity. Like most kids his age, he's afraid of the dark and insists on a nightlight. He also has a habit of asking me to check under his bed for monsters before he goes to sleep. It's become a nightly ritual, one that I never minded until recently. It started about a week ago. I was tucking Liam into bed when he looked up at me with wide eyes and whispered, "Mommy, he's under the bed again." I smiled, thinking it was just his imagination acting up. "Who, sweetie? The monster?" He shook his head. "No, not the monster. The other boy who looks like me." That caught me off guard. "What do you mean, another boy?" "He looks just like me, but he's not me. He's under the bed, and he says he's the real Liam." I felt a chill run down my spine. I tried to brush it off, telling myself it was just a dream or something he saw on TV. I checked under the bed, of course, but there was nothing there. The next night, the same thing happened. And the night after that. Then, last night, things escalated. I was tucking Liam in when he grabbed my arm tightly. His face was pale, and his eyes were filled with fear. "Mommy," he whispered, "he's under the bed again." I sighed, preparing to check under the bed like I always did. But before I could move, he said something that made my blood run cold. "No, not the monster, the other boy who looks like me." I froze. Then, from under the bed, a voice said, "Mom, he's lying." I screamed and jumped back. Liam screamed too, clutching me tightly. I didn't know what to do. I grabbed Liam and ran out of the room, slamming the door behind me. We spent the night in the living room, lights on, TV playing quietly. I didn't sleep a wink. This morning, I went back into Liam's room. Everything looked normal. I checked under the bed, nothing. I checked the closet, nothing. I even checked the attic, just in case. Still nothing. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if Liam is playing some elaborate prank, if he's having some kind of psychological episode, or if something truly unexplainable is happening. All I know is that I'm terrified. Has anyone else experienced something like this? Please, if you have any advice or insight, let me know. I couldn't send Liam back to his room after that night. I didn't even want to walk past it. The way that voice sounded, from under the bed, still rings in my ears. It wasn't a child's voice. It was too calm, too clear, too knowing. It knew me. The next morning, I tried to talk to Liam while we were eating cereal. He was quiet, barely touching his food, eyes glued to the kitchen table. I asked him who the other boy was, gently, trying not to scare him more. He only whispered, "He watches me when you leave. He doesn't blink." I asked him what he meant. He just said, he said he wants to live here. That I've had enough time. I stopped eating. Liam, what did he mean by that? Liam looked up at me with tears in his eyes and said, he said if I don't let him take over, you'll get hurt. Later that day, I called a child psychologist. I didn't tell them everything, just said Liam had been talking to imaginary friends a lot and seemed scared. We made an appointment for next week. That night, I locked Liam's room. I didn't want to risk it. He slept on the couch next to me again, curled up under a heavy blanket. I tried to watch TV to keep myself distracted, but I kept hearing soft bumps upstairs. Like footsteps, slow ones. I grabbed my phone and turned on the camera app. I didn't know what I expected to see, but I pointed it toward the stairs. Nothing. I started to think maybe I was losing it too. Sleep deprived, stressed, maybe it was just in my head. Around 3 a.m., I dozed off. That was the first night I had the dream. In the dream, I was walking through our house, but something was wrong. Everything was gray. The pictures on the walls were all twisted, like the faces were melting. I heard crying from upstairs, Liam's voice. But when I got to his room, I saw two Liams standing there. One was sitting on the bed, hugging his knees. The other was by the window, grinning at me. I called out, "Liam." They both looked at me. The one on the bed cried, "It's me, Mommy." The one by the window said, "No, he's pretending." I screamed and woke up in a cold sweat. When I opened my eyes, Liam was sitting up next to me on the couch, staring at me. His voice was flat. He says the dream is almost over. I didn't know what that meant. I kept Liam home from school. I didn't trust myself to explain what was happening to a teacher without sounding insane. We stayed in the living room, watching cartoons and eating snacks, like a normal day. Around noon, I went to the bathroom. I was gone for maybe 2 minutes. When I came back, Liam wasn't on the couch. My stomach dropped. I called his name. No answer. I ran upstairs, even though I didn't want to. His room was still locked. I unlocked it and slowly pushed the door open. The bed was empty. Then I heard something behind me. Liam was standing in the hallway, eyes blank, head tilted to the side. "Why did you lock him in here?" he asked. I said, "Liam, what are you talking about?" He smiled. "He's not happy. He said he's coming out tonight." I took him by the hand and brought him back downstairs. I didn't even yell. I just didn't want him out of my sight again. I called my husband, who works out of town a lot, and begged him to come home. He said he'd leave work early and be home in the evening. By the time it got dark, I was sitting on the couch, holding Liam's hand, watching the hallway like a hawk. Around 9 p.m., the lights flickered. The air turned cold, like someone had opened a window, but all the windows were shut tight. Then the hallway light went out. Liam squeezed my hand and whispered, "He's coming out." I stood up and grabbed a flashlight, heart pounding in my chest. I told Liam to stay on the couch and slowly moved toward the hallway. I wasn't even halfway there when I heard the sound again. From upstairs. The sound of a child laughing. But it wasn't Liam's laugh. Not the one I know. It was deeper. Wrong. I called my husband again, voice shaking. He said he was 15 minutes away. I didn't want to wait anymore. I went upstairs with the flashlight. Every step creaked under my feet. When I got to Liam's door, it was wide open. That's when I saw it. The bed was pulled away from the wall. And underneath it, eyes glowing in the darkness. I froze. My legs wouldn't move. My throat felt tight. Then the voice came again. "Mom, he's lying." The thing under the bed grinned. And in that exact moment, Liam screamed from downstairs. I ran. I didn't look back. I ran down the stairs so fast I nearly slipped. When I got to the living room, Liam was crying, pointing at the couch. There were two of them. Two of me. I didn't know which one was me until he vanished. I held him and cried with him. And then the front door opened. It was my husband. He looked confused. "What's going on?" I couldn't speak. Behind me, the hallway light flicked back on. Something moved up there. Something slow. And it's still up there now. We've all been sleeping in the living room for days. I haven't gone back upstairs. But sometimes, at night, I hear laughter. And sometimes, I swear I hear two voices whispering from Liam's room, arguing. Both of them calling me Mom. That next night, my husband said something I'll never forget. He looked at me, after I told him everything again, and said, "I remember something like this when I was little." I blinked at him. "What do you mean?" He rubbed his face like he didn't want to talk about it, but then he sighed and leaned forward. "When I was about Liam's age, I had these dreams. I'd wake up, and I'd see myself standing in the corner of my room. I thought it was just sleepwalking. But one night, my mom said she saw two of me. She thought it was a trick of the light." My stomach twisted. "And then what?" I asked. He hesitated. "One day, I fell down the stairs. I broke my arm. But my mom told me, right before it happened, she heard me talking to myself. Except, she swore the voice talking back to me wasn't mine." I stared at him, and he looked scared in a way I'd never seen before. "What if it's some kind of thing that runs in the family?" I looked at Liam, who was asleep on the couch, snoring softly. He looked peaceful. But for how long? That night, I didn't sleep. I sat by Liam's side, flashlight in hand. My husband slept in a chair near the hallway with a baseball bat across his lap. We weren't taking chances anymore. It was just past 3 a.m. when the scratching started. From inside the walls. Soft at first, like fingernails, then louder. Then pounding. Liam shot awake, eyes wide. He clutched my arm. "He's angry. He said it's not fair." I asked, "What's not fair?" "He says I don't deserve to be the real one. That I'm wasting it." Before I could say another word, the power went out. Total darkness. The flashlight flickered on in my hand. I pointed it toward the hallway. Nothing. Then we heard it. Footsteps. Coming down the stairs. My husband stood up, bat in hand, and pointed the flashlight at the staircase. Nothing. Then, from behind us, in the kitchen, a voice, "Mom? Dad? Why are you being so weird?" We turned around fast. Liam was standing there. But Liam was also right next to me, gripping my arm, breathing fast. Two Liams. Both breathing. Both blinking. Both crying now. The one next to me whispered, "I'm me. Please. Please believe me." The one in the kitchen started crying too. "Why are you doing this? Why do you think I'm not real?" My husband looked from one to the other, eyes darting. "Which one?" The kitchen Liam stepped forward. "I love you, Mommy. I'm scared." The one beside me trembled. "Don't listen. He copies me." "I remember my 7th birthday," the kitchen Liam said. "You got me a dinosaur cake." They both would remember that. I yelled. The Liam next to me looked up, terrified. "Ask about the broken drawer." "What?" I looked at him. "The top drawer in my room. The one I hide my marble in. You fixed it with duct tape." I swallowed. The one in the kitchen tilted his head. "Drawer? That's when I moved." I grabbed the Liam next to me and pulled him behind me. "Get out of my house," I said. The fake Liam smiled. It was too wide. Too sharp. His face twisted, his skin rippling like water. He laughed. A low, growling sound. "You think this ends now?" he whispered. "You picked the wrong one." Then he vanished. Just like that. A shimmer in the air, and he was gone. We didn't sleep the rest of the night. The power came back at sunrise. Liam, the real Liam, I know it, slept on me, exhausted. We moved out the next day. Packed what we could and left the rest. I didn't care. We moved in with my sister 3 towns over, and for a while, it was quiet. Until one night, about a month later, I walked past the hallway to go grab water. Liam was asleep. But I stopped cold when I heard his voice. From the closet. Not from the bed, from the closet. Mom? I opened the door slowly. Inside was nothing but coats and boxes. And then I heard it again, right behind me, Mom, don't. That's not me. I spun around. Liam stood behind me in the hallway, sleepy-eyed. He said, he's still looking. He said you picked wrong. I shut the closet door and locked it. We don't use that room anymore. But I hear him sometimes. At night. Whispering from behind the closet door. Always the same thing, you'll see soon. You'll see what you let in. And deep down. I'm not sure I didn't make a mistake. We stayed with my sister for almost 2 months after that night. I didn't let Liam sleep alone anymore. I barely let him out of my sight. I watched him constantly, how he walked, how he talked, how he laughed. Every little thing made me question if I'd really picked the right one. I told myself it had to be him. He remembered things only he could know. But the way he looked at me sometimes, like he was waiting for something, it made my skin crawl. Then the scratching started again. Not from the walls this time. From inside the mirror. It was in the bathroom first. I was brushing my teeth, and I swear, I saw someone behind me in the reflection. I turned fast. No one. But in the mirror, for a split second, I saw a boy standing there. Not Liam. This one was pale. Eyes too dark. Smile too big. I backed out of the bathroom, heart pounding. Told myself it was just lack of sleep. Later that night, Liam had a nightmare. He screamed so loud we all woke up. He was drenched in sweat, shaking, pointing at the window. He was out there. Watching me. I ran to the window. It was shut. Locked. But I saw it. A smudge on the glass. Like a handprint. From the outside. My sister said we were scaring her kids. That we needed to figure this out or move again. I couldn't blame her. That night, I sat up with Liam, and I asked him, one last time, are you really you? He didn't answer right away. Then he said, I think so. You think so? He nodded. Sometimes. I dream about being under the bed. And sometimes I wake up, and I remember being the one under there. I felt like my chest caved in. I remember looking at me. Wishing I could switch. I asked, barely breathing, did you? He looked at me. I don't know. I cried that night, quietly, so he wouldn't see. But I had to know. I needed answers. I drove back to the old house. Alone. The front yard was overgrown. The windows were still covered in dust. The place looked dead. But when I stepped inside, I felt it instantly. Cold. Heavy. Like the air didn't want me there. I walked up the stairs. Every step groaned under my feet. Liam's room was just like we left it. Bed half made. Nightlight still plugged in. Closet door shut. And under the bed, darkness. Thick, crawling darkness. I knelt down. Why? I whispered. The shadows moved. And the voice came again, soft and sharp. You didn't pick wrong. You never had a choice. I stared into the darkness, heart thudding. You think you saved him, it whispered. But I'm in both now. A face formed in the shadows. Liam's face. But it smiled like the thing from the mirror. "You let me in, Mom." The room began to shake. I ran. I didn't even grab anything. I just ran. By the time I made it back to my sister's, Liam was sitting on the floor, calmly playing with blocks. He looked up at me and smiled. Too calm. Too knowing. And in the softest voice, he said, "Did you see him?" I nodded slowly. He whispered, "He's not done." That night, I tried to sleep, but my dreams were full of whispers, and mirrors, and reflections that moved when I didn't. And just before I woke up, I heard two voices, both Liam's, laughing. I looked over at my sleeping son. Or who I thought was my son. His eyes were open. Staring at me. And then, in perfect sync, I heard his voice again. From the closet. "Mom, he's still lying." And that's when I realized, they both are.